Look, there are managers on that list who have had money to spend and have had a lot of money to spend. And there's a couple of second place finishes in there, one under Solskjaer, one under Jose Mourinho. But since Sir Alex Ferguson, there hasn't been a Premier League title. So what would be coming in now at this stage of the season, coming in November, what would be success for him this season, for Amorim?
I think, listen, good question again. Try and have
The thing with the title is, like, the title needs to be forgotten about for now. Because if you want to get better, you've still got to leapfrog Aston Villa, Brighton, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, City. There's a lot of teams there who are doing exceptional things on the football pitch. Manchester United are a long way off that. So it's almost like, do they become a cup team? But that's what they've been.
That's what they've been. And in terms of their league position, their league form, we're looking again today. Man United are, at this moment in time, whatever the problems are an average Premier League team. Average. There's so many teams way ahead of them. Again, you've mentioned a few there. Yeah, there's a long way to go for this United team. Huge job for the manager, huge job. And again, we keep saying it. Listen, hopefully he can get it sorted.
Can he challenge for the top six, do you think?
This season? Yeah, I think he can. I think there's a lot of inconsistency of all the teams. I think we're seeing it this season. Certainly, look at what Tottenham did to Manchester City yesterday, and then you'll see that Crystal Palace then can beat Tottenham, and there is going to be that. And if he finds the right team and the right personnel, there's no reason why they can't go on a run, because they will improve under him, because they've been rotten under the previous
It may not have been the prettiest or the easiest of victories, but it's 3 points that takes Liverpool 8 points clear at the top of the table. If we put this into comparison where teams have been at this stage in the season, when teams have had this lead, they've gone on to win the Premier League title. Manchester United, the only side to have had a bigger lead at this stage, and they went on to win it. Could they be in any better position, really, Jamie?
No, it's been a dream start for them. The fact that Manchester City is struggling, Arsenal have obviously struggled with injuries. It feels it's perfect for them right now. Now, who knows? Liverpool might get an injury. They might have to suffer for a little while. But today was just about getting that 3 points. It was a tough game. They weren't vintage. It wasn't pretty. They could have been 3-1 down if that penalty would have been given, and then you're looking at it thinking, what a nightmare after what happened with Manchester City gifting you yesterday. But so far for Arne Slot, that is exactly where you want to be. You're in a great position coming up to Christmas. Keep everybody fit and just keep ticking over. Roy, you've done it plenty of times.
And you know what? You obviously want to play well every week if you can, but Liverpool Porto, but you also got great satisfaction in getting a result when you've not been at your very best. And I thought Liverpool weren't great today, but I go back to it. Scored 3 goals, huge win, 8 points clear. I bet you they can't believe it. The start of the season, what's happened to the other teams, but Liverpool took full advantage of it. They've been excellent. They had the one blip against Forest. Liverpool have been excellent. Big goal threat. Again, bit of luck with injuries. What a chance to have a winning this title.
Is he in a title race, as Roy says? How important are those games where you haven't played well and get the victory? How much are they sort of indicators of the way that a season is going?
Yeah, they're integral really to a title charge. But I think the other significance around that win today for Liverpool was it's the first game back after international break. You've not had the players together for a while. You don't know the state of the players' fitness levels when they come back in. And Southampton really made them work for it. They really did. Liverpool, I thought, to start the game, they got lucky. Russell Martin alluded to that in his interview around, he's disappointed with the cheap goals they conceded, particularly the first one, Szoboszlai's goal, great finish, but the way that, Southampton caused that issue was fortuitous for Liverpool, but they punished them, and that's what good teams do. And everything looks really smooth now for Liverpool. I'm sure there'll be bumps in the road, of course, but I think, it's a dream start, and it's also questioning, can Chelsea, can Arsenal? Can Arsenal really capitalise on this blip for Manchester City? Because it's not often we say that they've lost 5 in a row.
Well, that's what's quite interesting about this title race is that this morning, after City's defeat and Arsenal's win before Liverpool's game, Liverpool were favourites, Arsenal second favourites, and Manchester City third favourites at this stage for the Premier League title. Now, look, as we've all said, this City side have shown at various stages that they can go on these incredible winning runs. So we're not saying it's a done deal, Jamie, but it's still an unusual position for them to be in.
Yeah, but I make them right. That I would see it as Arsenal and Liverpool are the two best sides right now. Manchester City, I don't want to be foolish and write them off, because you write them off at your peril because of what they've done in the history. They're one of the best sides I've ever seen, but they're not there. They're not. The Kevin De Bruyne is not the Kevin De Bruyne of 5 years ago that could just turn a game and win it on his own. you know, in terms of no Rodri, no Kovacic for a month, it's going to be incredibly hard for them. Can they still win the title? Absolutely, but I don't think they're going to win it in a way where they're going to go 16, 17 wins on the bounce. That's just, I don't think they're capable, this team, of doing that.
It's just not the defeats for Man City. It's the way they're losing their games, that lack of intensity in terms of defending and really defending your goal. Talk about the goals, the chances they're conceding. You see how well Liverpool have done. And again, all them snippets you've just mentioned there, the couple of injuries, players all getting a bit older. Pep, the success over the last few years, it's actually surprised me it's took him this long to have such a really bad spell. The success of the last 4 or 5 years is fantastic. So to me, this is the most natural thing in the world, that you're going to have some sort of dip. Now, Man City's dip is they're still a very good team to watch and they'll still be a threat. But I really think it'll be very difficult for Man City to win the league this year with the performances and a lot of their top players who perform week in, week out. Too many of them are just off it. And of course, the injury to Rodri is huge. He's such a big player for him, not just his quality, but that physical presence in the middle of the park. They look lost in midfield without him. Absolutely lost.
It's been a Premier League blockbuster over the last few years, Liverpool, Manchester City, especially at Anfield. And a lot of those times, Manchester City have gone in as favourites and not got the result that they wanted. This is going to be a change next weekend because Liverpool are going to be the favourites. So that brings an expectation, brings a little bit of pressure, maybe brings an extra pressure from the fans as well. They might have to be a bit more patient. But I think if you look to that City side in midfield, yes, they couldn't live with Tottenham's intensity. And I think that will be a big factor for Liverpool next week.
If you think Liverpool can beat them next week and turn up and Liverpool are at their very best, and obviously the fans are behind them and they do beat Man City, what a statement that would be next weekend for Man City to be so far behind. It would be over for them next week if they lose to Liverpool. So it's a big test for Liverpool, dealing with that expectation. And we'll see Man City. Are we actually thinking of writing them off? Yes, we are, because of their performances. Can they bounce back next week?
Yeah, after 5 defeats on the spin, we will find out if Manchester City can turn it around. And as you say, what a game it would be to turn it around for them.
The game would finish 1-1. Manchester United held to a draw in Amorim's first game. So it's just a point as it stands right now. Obviously, Manchester United looking to climb up the table now that a new coach is in place. Well, they're up to 12th at the moment as it stands, but there's a lot of work to do for Ruben Amorim. That goes without saying. And there's a few questions to be asked of everything that we saw today as well. I suppose one of them, Ale, and I'll come to you first on this, is the threat up top and the need for a clinical striker here at Manchester United. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, when I evaluate this game, beyond whatever threat or lack thereof that Manchester United may have in the attack, I'm far more concerned as to what's going on the other side. Honestly, I looked at the back three today, and it's Mazraoui, De Ligt, Johnny Evans.
36-year-old Johnny Evans.
Mazraoui, De Ligt, Johnny Evans. And it was a perfect start for Manchester United. When you think that 2 minutes in, you're up 1-0 and Rashford scores and you're getting the sort of work that you're getting from Ahmad down the right-hand side, you think, all right, maybe there is something. And then as the game settled down and Ipswich started to have some possession and some moments of transition, and then you're playing the ball over the top into areas where now that back three gets exposed, then Leon Delap gets the sort of chance that he gets in front of Onana, and Onana has to come up with a huge save. It really is a wasted opportunity, though, from Delap. And those spaces were available to Ipswich anytime they wanted it. Anytime they wanted to play that ball wide of the back three, on the right or on the left, it was always there. And now you're in isolation. You have Mazraoui defending in isolation, which he's not very good at, and Johnny Evans can't really move, so defending in isolation is not a strength. And the one leading them is Matthias de Ligt, who has questions himself. And so I understand that this is the way that Amorim plays and this is his system and so on and so forth. I will say that Ipswich Town would have come into this game thinking a point is good for us. After the game, they may have thought, you know what? There was more for us in this match. And I think that says enough, or it says a lot, and everything that you need to know about where Manchester United are right now.
What do you think, Stevie? Because Amorim said afterwards that he thought his players were thinking too much during the game and that you could feel it.
I probably agree with him, to be honest, and I don't think that should come as a surprise, because basically you're playing 3 and 4 at least players in positions that they've never played before. So you are going to be thinking, because you're constantly wondering, am I in the right spot? And for Dalot and Diallo on the wide areas, as much as Ali's talking about the back three, the two of them it's tough for them to figure out where the starting position is, because they know that there's space in behind, and so they end up going deep. And then Amorim doesn't want them to be playing, they don't want to play 5 at the back. And so you saw Dalot and Diallo playing as fullbacks most of the time, particularly the second part of the first half. And you see the first chance that Delap had. That's a long ball that Diallo is fighting for. That's where the centre-back should be. That's why you play 3, because the outside back can go into that area where the hole is and cover it up. And so clearly, it's about the starting positions. So there's no question they're all running around wondering where to be. That's not a surprise.
We know he's not going to change the formation. He said as much. He said it's going to be his way and everybody has to learn to adapt to this. So with that in mind, with this formation for Manchester United, what is he going to have to work on to make this work for him?
Well, Stevie is absolutely correct in highlighting the outside guys and their starting position. And to that point, I say, if indeed Ahmad is further back and Dalot is further back, the sort of domino effect of that is that once you regain possession, these guys are no longer an option ahead of the ball. So whatever transitions you may want to have with the speed of Garnacho and the speed of Rashford is no longer available to you from wide areas because those guys are back there. They're defending next to the back 3. And so it really limits what they can do once they regain possession of the ball. Hence why their starting position has to be much higher up the field. But in order for that position, starting position, to be higher up the field, you have to have enough numbers in the midfield to regain that possession of the ball. And so then it becomes a question as to who the pairing is. And is the pairing Casemiro and Ugarte? Is the pairing it obviously is going to include Ugarte at some point as the starter. And then probably Casemiro, maybe Eriksen. But regardless, whoever is it that you're talking about in that middle, they're going to have to cover a lot of ground. And they're going to have to win a lot of balls. It's a 3-4-3 that depends on those guys in the middle regaining possession of the ball and being able to cover the ground. And we know that Casemiro is no longer able to do that, and so it puts a whole lot of pressure on Manuel Ugarte if indeed they play side by side. That, by the way, that's a pairing that Amorim is going to have to figure out. You know Ugarte is going to play. Who plays next to him will make a whole big of a difference in terms of how they regain possession in the middle third.
What about Marcus Rashford? Is he going to continue to give him a run here as centre forward?
I would think so. You know, the difference between Rashford and Højlund, there's no question, is pace. And the fact that it's going to take this team, it's going to take a few games to sort out, as I said, the starting positions. And so that means that it's going to be, in my mind, it's going to be a lot of counter-attacking. And so Rashford's going to have to play up the middle. Because if you play Højlund, that's not happening. That means now if you play Højlund, does that mean Rashford doesn't start? And if Rashford starts, that means he has to go to a wide position. Does that mean that then Garnacho doesn't start? But then Garnacho has to start? You know, going forward, he's the one player who seems to get himself in positions to get a strike at goal or to get the ball on a counter-attack. And if they do that, that means somebody further back isn't playing. Is it Fernandes? Is it Casemiro? Is it? I mean, so figuring out all these starting positions is so important, not just from a defensive point of view, but from an attacking point of view as well, in terms of numbers.
There has to be some patience with him though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he'll take a point. The manager will take a point. Listen, as long as he doesn't lose, he'll for the next 3, 4, 5 games, he'll take picking up points while they're learning to play the system that he wants to play. It just depends on how long it takes them to actually do it. And the other question is, are they capable of doing it? Which I guess is the bigger question.
And I think what you saw illustrated today is that regardless of whether it's Ten Hag or Amorim, you have major issues structurally for this team in terms of the talent that is available to you. Now, that doesn't excuse Erik Ten Hag and some of the decisions that he made. Now, he's long gone, but in comes a new guy who's supposed to be a hot property, and he's going to have a difficult time figuring out the structure and the organization and the starting positions. It is going to take some time. How much time is enough? And how much time are we willing to give Rubén Amorim before we start asking the questions? The questions remain the same. Who's going to play in that back line? Who's going to play in the middle? Who's going to play up top? That hasn't been figured out because the players haven't put together performances that would suggest I am a no-doubter in this team. I should be on the field all the time given my individual performances. That's not the case. It's very few players for Manchester United who can raise their hands and say, you know what? I'm a guy that you can trust.
You know, if there was one thing to take away from this United performance, if you're the coach, nobody said you need to be playing me in the next game.
Mikel Arteta provides promising update on Declan Rice injury amid Kieran Tierney's return. Ahead of Arsenal's crucial Champions League clash with Sporting CP, Mikel Arteta has delivered an encouraging update on his squad's fitness. Arteta confirmed that Declan Rice is in contention to start for the Gunners against the Portuguese champions. Arsenal travels to Lisbon to face Sporting on Tuesday night, but will be without Ben White and Takahiro Tomiyasu, both of whom are recovering from knee injuries. Rice's availability was uncertain after he remained on the bench during the 3-0 victory over Nottingham Forest on Saturday. However, Arteta has now confirmed that Rice has travelled with the squad and is expected to be fit to start the match. In another boost for Arteta, Kieran Tierney is available for selection for the first time in almost 2 years. The Scottish international has returned to full fitness and resumed training earlier this month. He is part of the travelling squad to Lisbon, offering additional depth to Arteta's defensive options. Despite fierce competition for places in the left-back position, with players like Ricardo Calafiori, Oleksandr Zinchenko, Jakub Kiwior, Jerian Timber, Takahiro Tomiyasu, and Miles Lewis-Skelly all vying for minutes, Arteta expressed his satisfaction in having Tierney available once again. It's fantastic news that Kieran is back after a long injury layoff, Arteta remarked. He has been training with the team and is at a level where he's ready to contribute. As the Gunners aim to secure only their second away win in European competition from their last 9 matches, Arteta knows that improvements are necessary. Arsenal has yet to score an away goal in this season's Champions League, and Arteta emphasised the need for sharper execution if they hope to succeed in the competition. I wouldn't say it's the most important thing, but our efficiency in the box has not been at the required level for us to consistently win at this level, Arteta admitted. The Champions League is about fine margins, small details, and you have to get everything right to win, especially when playing away from home.